Hello guys, it's Revolution. So, as the title asks, did Goku Black kill Broly? Of course, in just a few months' time, Dragon Ball Super Broly will be dropping in theatres December the 14th. I am hyped. And of course, Broly in that movie is alive and well and will be facing off against Goku, Vegeta, Frieza, and possibly more. But as we know, if Broly exists in this timeline, he should therefore exist in the other timelines we know of in the Dragon Ball world. And of course, in the Future Trunks saga, Zamasu, who's stolen Goku's body, became Goku Black, travelled to a different timeline in order to wreak havoc alongside future Zamasu, where they initiated the Zero Mortals plan. Of course, when Goku Vegeta arrived alongside Future Trunks to fight them, they were in Universe 7, therefore they were in the same universe as a hypothetical future Broly. Broly, being immortal, would not have aligned with Goku Black and Zamasu's Zero Mortals plan. Did they kill him? This video is going to be very timey-wimey. I hope you are prepared. As always on Revolution, a quick question before we get into the nitty-gritty. Who is your favourite Dragon Ball villain or antagonist in the entire franchise? Dragon Ball Super introduced 5 new antagonists during its initial run. Of course, the likes of Beerus, Hit, and Jiren weren't necessarily villains, but they were antagonists. Who was your favourite antagonist and why? Let me know down in the comment section. And whilst you're doing that, you're new to Revolution and you love Dragon Ball just as much as I do, please do consider smashing that subscribe button and the bell button next to it to be notified whenever I release new content concerning Dragon Ball. All kinds of Dragon Ball topics. If you enjoy my content, please do keep lending me your energy, keep smashing that like button. So along with the conclusion of the Dragon Ball Super anime TV series last March, Akira Toriyama released a press release concerning the upcoming Dragon Ball movie. Back then, we didn't know it would be about Broly. But what Akira Toriyama did tell us is that it will be a continuation of the Dragon Ball Super TV anime series. So whilst the original Broly from the Dragon Ball Z movies is not canon to the Dragon Ball Super continuity, this repackaged Broly in the Dragon Ball Super movie will be. And of course, that puts him in the same Dragon Ball continuity as Goku Black and Zamasu. Of course, Goku Black and Zamasu wreaked havoc in a different timeline to the timeline that we are most familiar with. And of course, these alternate timelines were ultimately created by paradoxes caused way back in the Android and Cell game sagas, when Future Trunks returned from the future in order to try and affect his own future, as his future was being ravaged by future Android 17 and 18. Ultimately, this was the catalyst for the time paradoxes that would ultimately spawn 4 different timelines. Of course, in Dragon Ball Super, with the introduction of the time rings, we found out that there are more timelines than the 4 that are shown in the Daizenshu. That is shown on your screen right now. But ultimately, the Future Trunks saga, Future Trunks, is ultimately from the timeline where he ultimately defeated the imperfect Cell that resided in his timeline. But ultimately, the catalyst for all these timelines spawning were when Trunks initially went back into the past in age 764, and obviously Cell first arrived in egg form in that same timeline in age 763. Well, the protagonist of Dragon Ball, Goku, was born a good 27 years prior to that, being born in age 736, meaning that Goku's birth, or anybody who was born around the same time as Goku, would have been unaffected by those time paradoxes in the current timeline. Obviously, with the time paradoxes and new timelines being created, therefore they would have duplicates of those characters in the other timelines as well, but ultimately they would still exist in the current timeline unaffected. Given that the second trailer to the Broly movie, which really focused on Planet Vegeta's destruction and all the events that occurred around it, we know that Goku, Vegeta and Broly were all born around the same time. We know Vegeta's a few years older than Goku. We don't know Broly's exact birth date. It's really hard to tell given that it was a trailer, and obviously trailers use certain editing cuts to not give away the full story. But given it actually says they were all born around the same time, you can assume that Broly was born sometime around age 736, just like Goku, give or take. So basically, he would be completely unaffected by the events that occurred in the Android saga and the Cell game saga. And obviously, when those time paradoxes did happen with Future Trunks and they spawned new timelines, Broly would ultimately have been duplicated in those other timelines, and there would be an iteration of Broly in the Future Trunks timeline that was in Dragon Ball Super. Now, I did tell you this video would be very timey-wimey, but obviously in the Future Trunks saga, in the Future Trunks timeline, that timeline which ultimately represented a multiverse, and I did discuss this in a video a few weeks ago called Why Zeno Destroyed Everything, including Future Jiren and Future Broly. Ultimately, what I describe is why Zeno destroyed the entire multiverse and not just the Universe 7 in the future timeline. You will have to watch that video to get a more in-depth explanation of why, so I'll link it at the end of this video. But the reason I included Jiren and Broly in that video was simply because a lot of people have a hard time believing that Goku Black and Immortal Zamasu would be able to kill Jiren. Which, you know, is fair enough considering that in the Tournament of Power, even a suppressed Jiren had surpassed Merged Zamasu, the Potara fused version of Goku Black and Future Zamasu, and obviously we know how powerful Potara fusion is. Jiren was simply a monster, so how did these two on their own manage to kill Jiren? It's really hard to give an explanation for it. Obviously, a lot of people have come to the conclusion that I have, that they just never encountered Jiren. We do know that Goku Black at least killed all the Kaioshin in each of the universes in the Dragon Ball multiverse, so that's the 12 universes. And obviously in episode 55 of Dragon Ball Super, Whis told us that the Gods of Destructions and the Supreme Kais are linked. If you manage to kill the Supreme Kai, that ultimately kills the God of Destruction as well. So if you kill Shin, the Supreme Kai of Universe 7, there's nothing Beerus can do about it. He's a dead man. In the Buu Saga, the guy almost died in his sleep. So obviously, Goku Black would have killed Belmod, not necessarily directly, but at least by killing the Supreme Kai of Universe 11. But an interesting point to note that was, in episode 65 of Dragon Ball Super, Merged Zamasu claimed when he was fighting Goku and Vegeta that this would be the final day of the Zero Mortals plan, that it was closing on completion, because at that point, Goku and Vegeta just didn't stand a chance against the power of Merged Zamasu. And obviously the Zero Mortals plan doesn't just account for killing all the gods, it obviously accounts for killing all the mortals as well, hence why it's called Zero Mortals plan, which gives you the indication that he'd already pretty much killed off nearly all the mortals in the multiverse. So you have to question where the Pride Troopers were. Maybe they were out on a mission, maybe Jiren was meditating somewhere. It is possible that Jiren could have been dead in the future timeline. We never really found out what age he was. Maybe Toppo had already become the God of Destruction in that timeline. Maybe Merged Zamasu was in for a big surprise. If he had defeated Goku, Trunks and Vegeta there and then, he would have come across Jiren and got his ass whooped. Or maybe they found a way to assassinate Jiren, who knows? We really need that explained maybe in a future Dragon Ball Super guidebook. But the reason we're talking about Jiren is because he is the strongest antagonist Goku and Vegeta have faced to date, but there has been a Jump article that states that Broly will be the strongest they've ever come up against. That means he'll be stronger than even Awakened Jiren in the Tournament of Power and even the God of Destruction Beerus. So if it's hard to believe that Goku Black and Zamasu could take out Jiren, how on earth would they take out somebody even stronger than Jiren in Broly? But I do preach there are a few things to consider with Broly. First of all, we know that Broly will not have died of old age, and I'll say it for clarity, I don't think Jiren did in the future either. I'm just saying it is a possibility considering we don't know what his age is. Broly will not be dead unless somebody else killed him. We know that Cell was defeated in that timeline. We know that Majin Buu never hatched because Future Trunks defeated Dabra. We know that Beerus was ultimately killed because the Supreme Kai got killed. We know that Frieza would never have got resurrected. We also know that the God of Destruction tournament would never have happened because Goku was already dead due to the heart virus, as well as Vegeta, who was killed by the androids way back in the Android Saga, as well as the rest of the Dragon team. It's hard to make a case for anybody being able to kill Broly, and given that it's been indicated Paragus' motivation in the upcoming movie is to gain revenge on King Vegeta's son, Vegeta, obviously Broly would have no reason to come after Vegeta because in that timeline he's already dead. Broly should be alive and well. We know he was sent to a frontier planet from the second trailer of the Dragon Ball Super Broly movie, so he should still be residing either on that planet or maybe another planet. Maybe he's become a space pirate himself, who knows? But he should be somewhere in Universe 7. But as mentioned, if he's stronger than Jiren, unless Zamasu in Goku Black could take him by surprise and assassinate him, or use Immortal Zamasu as a shield while Goku does some fancy trick to kill him somehow. I know it sounds a bit farcical. It's really hard to make a case for those two being able to kill him, especially as we know that in the Future Trunks saga they were only at Super Saiyan Blue levels of power. Actually, I should rephrase that. Only Goku Black with his Super Saiyan Rose transformation were at Super Saiyan Blue levels of power, give or take. Broly in this upcoming movie will be stronger than post Tournament of Power Super Saiyan Blue levels of power. Scrap that, it'll be stronger than Super Saiyan Blue Kaioken times 20. He would have been far too strong for Goku Black even with Super Saiyan Rose. So did they simply miss out on Broly? Could it have been another case of overlooking all the mortals, as it may have been the case with Jiren? Well, I don't think it will necessarily be the same as Jiren, because from the indication we've got of this movie is that Broly will grow in power throughout the movie. I don't think he will start off in the movie as strong as he will end it. As we've seen in the trailers for the Dragon Ball Super Broly movie, we see Goku and Vegeta use the regular golden haired Super Saiyan states against Broly. We know that both Goku and Vegeta will use the Super Saiyan God transformation, the red haired transformation, against Broly. And we know that Goku at least will be using Super Saiyan Blue, most likely Super Saiyan Blue Kaioken. We know that Broly will be bound to Paragus' power controlling device early in the movie, which will most likely limit Broly's power output, but obviously he'll break free of that and eventually start to unload more power and unleash that yellow-eyed base form that seems to be competing with a Super Saiyan Blue Goku. We know he'll be able to use Super Saiyan and then his famed Legendary Super Saiyan transformation, or Super Saiyan Berserk, which, as we know in the Tournament of Power saga in the manga, Kale's Super Saiyan Berserk has been stated to keep growing in power until she ultimately self-destructs. Maybe Broly will just keep growing in power in this movie, but by that logic, maybe Goku Black and Zamasu got to Broly before he could continuously grow in power and killed him off before he did so. If Broly starts off at regular Super Saiyan levels of power, there's no reason why even a Super Saiyan Rose, Goku Black and an immortal Zamasu wouldn't be able to take him out. Whilst Broly may end the movie stronger than even awakened Jiren, the scary thing about Jiren is Jiren's power was simply just his base form. So I put the question again to you: did Goku Black kill future Broly? Let me know your thoughts down in the comment section. It doesn't really matter, because in the end, Future Zeno literally eliminated the entire future timeline anyway, so there's no way Broly would have survived that, so future Broly would be dead. But here's the kicker: at the end of the Future Trunks saga, we saw Gowasu putting the time rings away, and there were 5 green time rings and 1 silver one. Therefore there could be 5 to 6 timelines, meaning there could be 5 to 6 Brolys out there. Now, isn't that a scary thought? Anyway guys, drop your thoughts down in the comment section. Did Goku Black kill Broly? Please do keep lending me energy, keep smashing that like button, subscribe if you haven't subscribed. Until next time, Ad Astra.